TipTut.
Hello everybody and welcome back to TipTut. Now today we're doing something a bit different. We're inside of Chrome and we're taking a look at a few of the Chrome extensions that I use all the time. I find these really useful and hopefully you will too, specifically if you're a designer. So let's just dive right in. So when you install extensions in Chrome, you can do this from the Chrome store. So if you just type in extension store Chrome into Google, it'll bring up the Chrome Web Store. And here you can install any of the extensions I talk about in this tutorial and any ones that you think you might find useful too. So let's begin. Now, the first one I have installed here is WhatFont. If you click this, it brings up just a very simple interface, which tells you to get out, exit WhatFont. Or if you hover over certain elements on a web page, it'll tell you the font that is being used. Now, this is really useful if you navigate to a page, say, for example, Newgrounds up here, and you see something a font that you really like. You can go, oh, what font is used here? Oh, that's just Arial. That's a variation as well. This is header font, which is obviously their own protected branded one, things like that. So for example, we check out the color palette that I use and you open WhatFont. You can see that this font is Monsterrat. And that's probably the only one they use because it's quite a simple website. So this is really great when you're doing client work and you need to, and the only thing you're not given brand guidelines or anything. The only thing you're given is their website. You can quickly hover over and find the fonts that they've been using, which is super useful actually. So that's WhatFont. That's all there is to it, but it does one thing and it does it very well. Next is Colorzilla. Now this is a really great tool that actually implements a few tools into one. If with a single click it activates, you can say page color picker, and basically then if you just hover over your page, it'll tell you the color that you're hovering at, much in the same way that WhatFont tells you the font. This is active, so for example, this whole image here is an SVG file, but it still understands the different colors because it literally selects the pixel that you're on. So you can see there that it understands hover states inside websites and things like that, and it gives you an RGB and a hex value of that color. It also tells you the size of the element as well that you're hovering on, which is super useful. So yes, that's pretty much that for that part of Colorzilla, but there's more as well to it. There's all these options: resample your last location, copy to clipboard, that sort of thing. There's also a web page color analyzer. So if you click this, it'll tell you all of the different colors that are used on this page. Sometimes it doesn't quite understand, like these yellows, for example, are hard-coded into an image. So it can't understand that, but these are basically, it's pulled from the CSS and said, all these colors are defined in the CSS of this web page, which is very useful. Quick way, again, if you're working with clients, to grab their color palette, which is super useful. Speaking of, there's a palette browser, which means you can quickly navigate through any kind of color palette that's web safe. So you can go completely via hue saturation. You can go to web colors by hue. You can go to web colors by name. For example, all these older ones here, web colors like this. Within CSS, you can actually define colors instead of using the hex code or RGB value. There's certain ones which have names applied to them, and that's really useful for knowing that all these ones are absolutely web safe and are going to appear exactly the way you want them to. So it's just a really good way to quickly grab up a web safe color palette. And then there's this last tool, the CSS Gradient generator, which I'm not going to go too far into because not everyone is here for web design. But basically, you can create a gradient in the same way you would in Photoshop or Illustrator, and it generates the code that you need to implement into your CSS, which can be a bit of a pain doing this manually. So much easier to do it this way. So that's lots of really good tools in one, actually. So the next one then is not so much a tool as it is a deprocrastinator, if that makes sense. So Forest. You can see here that I've got a dead little tree. When you first open up this, you'll get this interface here, and you can click the tree to start planting. And this basically says, for the next 25 minutes, any sites that I've put on my blacklist, it won't allow me to access without killing the tree. If, for example, I tried to waste some time on Facebook, it will tell me that my tree is still growing, and I have to kill the tree in order to access Facebook. I have to give up. I have to kill the cute little tree, and I can never bring myself to do it. So this is a really great tool for if you really need to knuckle down for a certain amount of time, you can. Now, obviously, you can adjust the settings of this and stuff as well. Say, for example, if I give up on this tree, I've killed him, no. I give up on this tree and I click here, you can actually go into the settings and you can add or remove things from your blacklist. You can connect it to an app, so you can see all the trees that you've grown and things like that. I don't do that, that's kind of useless. But you can also adjust the amount of time that you want to focus for, essentially. Really useful. Yeah, that's pretty much all there is to that one. Now, the next one is a really great feature called Turn Off the Lights. Now, there's a part of Newgrounds, which I love, is this Turn Off the Lights feature is sort of hard-coded. Let's quickly pause this so that we don't get any copyrights. But there's a little button here when if you hit lights, it basically darkens everything but the video on the web page. Now, that's native to Newgrounds. It's a great feature. But say, for example, I go into my latest video here and we pause it. Like so, and we hit turn off the lights, it'll darken everything except the video. And this is great when you really want to focus, or you're just settling back to watch a great animation, but you want to keep everything else open. This is super useful, really, really great. Just a cool little feature there to help you focus on videos that you're watching. The next one then is the great Suspender. This one's great. Basically, if you're working from a laptop, you can often find that if you have several tabs open, especially YouTube, it can really hog the RAM. Like on my Surface, for example, each tab I have open in Chrome, if it's YouTube video, takes up about 200 megabytes of RAM. It's crazy. So what you can actually do is suspend these tabs. So you can say suspend all other tabs here. It's been suspended, so it stops taking up your RAM, which is really useful. And then you can just click to reload the page. Nice and simple. That's all that one does, but it's all that it's great for. So if you reload a page as well, it does remember where you were on your YouTube video, which is actually really useful. Now, the last one then is probably my favorite. And again, it's another focusing tool, but it's made by a company called Noisely. Now, if you go to Noisely's homepage, you'll be confronted with a really, I must say, a really beautiful interface, very simple. This taken sort of flat design to the max. And basically what this does is it allows you to generate your own, basically background relaxation sounds. We will ignore that there. So you can build your own sort of nature-y or dream state sounds based on all these different factors here. So you can have train tracks, you can have fire crackling, you can have white noise, you can have fans, you can have water trickling. And basically, you can make these presets here, and then wherever you are on the internet, say you're really focusing and you want to go to your website and do some work on it, you can click the little Noisely app and it saves all your presets. And if I play them, it'll start to play that in the background. And if with a pair of headphones on, these are really, really useful to help you really get focused and just really zone in on your work. So that's it for this time, guys. I hope this is useful to you. If you want to have more things like this, let me know. I'm not really sure if people are going to enjoy this or find it useful, but we'll see. It was a nice experiment. So thanks very much for watching, everybody, and I hope to see you again next time.
Remember to subscribe for more tips, tricks, and tutorials. Thanks for watching.